Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and sorry for the bright sun here, but the focus of the video should be kind of here-ish, so hopefully it won't be too bad. But anyways, this has been a long requested video, and it's about how to tune a Balisong. So this guy here, I mean, you can see it's got some play in it, and basically I'm on the factory washers right now, and I'm going to change them to a different set of washers, either these kind of, I don't know, kind of brown, yellow coloured ones, or this set of used phosphor bronzes. I consider doing stainless, but I don't want to use a stainless set on this Balisong here. But, I wanted to make this cracking a bit better. You can see now, it's not an awful tune. It's actually decent, but I think we can make it better. So, yeah, sadly this guy is Loctited, so we'll have to start off by breaking some of these Loctite seals. Which I like to start by actually loosening the female ends first, right? And then we can take the male ends out a little easier. Right, so I'm just taking off the white handle side first. Oh, come on, really? Okay, so this guy's actually like quite stuck here. Oh, okay. So here I'm running into an issue where the screw is actually quite well seized in there, and so the strategy for that is simply squeeze the handles whilst you remove the screw. And I mean, this guy, well, the extra screw is fairly clean, but the inside of the hole there is covered in Loctite and all sorts of gunk. So I'm actually going to quickly come here into my little toolbox and go a little, let's see, it's a tool that I can get somewhat dirty. We'll grab this orange T6 screwdriver, and I'm just going to scoop out, just loosen up some of the ingressed dirt in here, right? Now the one thing I did forget actually was some sandpaper, which I should have somewhere, which is nice. Yeah, we'll get to that step when we... Actually, no, I do have some sandpaper here. Never mind. Right, here's some sandpaper. So, yeah, now that we've gotten the screw out, we're going to want to whack the pivot out. So we want to keep these guys to the side here. I'll just leave them over there, just out of frame. And then, obviously, you come take out your Balisong. And typically when I take them out, I end up having the washers still inside of the handles. As an easy thing, just kind of take them out. I like to keep my Balisong in the position it still is in. Move the bottom one first, and then remove the top one. I have them in this kind of bottom-top order, with top being further away from me slightly. It's also good to have a little rag here, just to clean this area out. Yeah, this is my like Balisong tuning rag. Yeah, so we have that, and then we have the bushing, which I like to stick something in the middle of the bushing so it comes out in the right orientation, and just pull out the blade until you get something like this. Now this whole blade section, I recommend to just polish it up. Right, well, at least dry it up, maybe clean out the inside as well. So I just sent through a little bit of this cloth here, just pull it through, like that, rub it out, do that, make sure you've got no little contaminations in the bushing area, right? You can use a Q-tip as well to do that instead. So now we come to the tuning part. Now to tune these guys, you are going to want to get yourself a set of calipers. Well, you don't need calipers, but calipers does make this a little bit easier, especially for big tuning jobs, and so we currently have it set to 0. And we're going to measure the thickness of the blade. Now you're going to want to use the flats, these flat bits of the caliper, right? Try to get it as close to this guy as possible. So this flat section here, that's the section you want to put over kind of this edge here, this line. Let's see if I can make a line here. This kind of line there, right, to find this thickness of the blade around where the washer will sit, right? Ideally, if you can intersect this hole like that, that is what you're going for, that kind of measurement, right? And so this Balisong measures at 3.18 millimeters for the blade. And I just like to do a couple checks, make sure it's zeroed nicely, double check, take a little bit of an average. So 3.18, 3.19. Now, here are some values I'm going to give you for your bushing thickness. Your bushing always should be thicker than the blade itself. For stainless steel washers, you need at least 0.02 millimeters of thickness, but there's also a few extra steps when it comes to stainless tuning, such as you ideally want this polished area here. You can see it's not super high resolution, but you can kind of see around where the washer would sit. It's kind of shiny there. You want that ideally for a stainless washer to sit as best as possible, especially on kind of clone balisongs, whereas you might not. It's not as important for kind of brass and phosphor bronze washers. So for phosphor bronze washers, brand new ones, you want at least a 0.03 millimeter tolerance. I'm not going to tell you in decimals of an inch because all calipers have a change unit system, and millimeters are just a lot more precise. And so I suggest starting off with going to a 0.05 mil and working your way down from there. So at the moment, this blade again, I believe measures at 3.18. 3.19ish, right? Sometimes 3.17, depending how you measure it, but yeah, 3.19, 3.18. So I'm looking for kind of 3.23 or so, and so my bushing currently measures at 3.21, right? So it's already getting pretty close to tolerance. 3.20, 3.21. So yeah, we're kind of really close. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this bushing binds, and so I'm actually going to leave it alone, but I will show you the process that you would undergo if you were to tune a balisong. So with your bushing that needs tuning, you want to grab some sandpaper. I recommend, depending on how much time you have, 1,000 grit if you have loads of time to kill, but you can go down as low as 600 grit if need be. I wouldn't go below 600, you'll get a very unfine finish, but you essentially take your bushing, you're going to hold it kind of like this, and you're going to place it on the sandpaper. I know you can't get a super great view of this, but I'll show you with the this guy on here. You're going to hold your bushing, and you're going to go in circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do a kind of figure of 8 loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're essentially going to do 5 clockwise and 5 anti-clockwise circles. It doesn't matter if they are anti-clockwise and clockwise or whatever, but you're going to do 5 circles one way, another 5 circles the other way, and you're going to apply gentle to medium pressure depending how much material you need to remove. Just keep in mind, the more pressure you add, the less likely your bushing will still be square. So obviously the bushing wants to be kind of square like this, right? Essentially like these handle bits, like this channel. And you don't want to make it like lopsided, right? Like, so you don't want your bushing to end up looking like this if you were to take a cross section of it. You want it to keep parallel with the top and bottom. So ideally as gentle pressure as you can, but sometimes you can add a bit more firm pressure. And another big thing is to rotate the bushing slightly between laps. So you're going to take that in turns, take a measure, do another turn, take a measure. I would say the first big tuning you can take out big chunks of material, but if you don't have a caliper, whether it be a standard vernier caliper or a digital calipers, I definitely suggest, depending on how much play you need, if you've got like loads of play, you can maybe go for like 30, 40, 50 total circles. But like if you've only got a little bit, right, like you've got like, just it's moving a little bit, you may even start with as low as 5, right? So it's just about trial and error in that case. But let's say we've got our tuned bushing here, we're going to put it in. Now ideally, when you do this kind of bushing work, you want to be, there we go, you want to be using brand new washers. So I will use brand new washers in this case. Let's see, where is the front edge? Now when it comes to washers, they do have an orientation, so it's going to be very, very difficult to show. Okay, so basically the washer has other than Fellowship Blades products, most washers are stamped. So when you get the thing, they like basically take a die and it just punches a hole. That leaves a smoother side and a rougher side. You want to find the smoother side, and the smoother side goes towards the blade. So the side where the punch would have come from goes towards the blade, and the outside, where it's slightly rougher, goes towards the outside of the handle. And obviously a little trick for getting handles onto washers is to have the washers slightly out of the handle, of the blade there, sorry. And I always recommend start with the bite handle first, so then you're not worried about too much stuff. Take your time on your first one. And then you just slide this guy over the washers, and then he nicely slides over there. And then the Nabalis pivot tool thing, really good purchase. You just shove it in, spin it around a couple of times, out it comes. And then in you go, and you shove in your hardware again, right? And then you tighten it up, and you see how well does it fit now. Now I try to get it to little play when dry, which is why you saw me kind of dry out certain bits. And so it looks like I'm going to also have to like kind of just screw this in somewhat tightly, like all grasping the handles. And you can see here actually this bushing is actually undersized, right? So that is not ideal. I don't think I have any spare bushings for this guy. So I'm going to have to, you know, probably just use this as a washer tune. You know, which is not nice, but maybe I'll find a washer. I'll find a bushing later on in order to do it. But basically, I know that handle is kind of botched. So now I'm just going to quickly speed through the second handle. So again, grip. I'm gripping these handles together because my screw is nicely done. It's Loctited in, so it's just something to be wary of. Okay, so I'm going to have to do it from the male side. There we go. Out the screw comes. The screw's a little dirty, but let's take this chance to do a little scrape work. Out that guy goes. Out your washers come. Make sure you get them in the right order because typically I'm reusing washers. And then find your little rag, which is here on my lap. And just want to wipe up any excess oil, debris, gunk that you might have, well, that's accumulated on your Balisong. Get your, ooh. Don't do what I just did there. I was going to pick it up and then do that, but I don't know which way that fell round. And I can't be bothered to check the footage, so. Now, important thing, especially on clone Balisongs, but even on genuine Balisongs, is you want to measure each bushing side separately, because sometimes Balisong blades are not always milled equally. You know, they're not always super flat. Here I'm getting the same kind of 318, 3.19 results here. So we'll just check this bushing out here. And here we have 322, 323. Oh, but sometimes you get variance in results, so make sure to 0. And shove the guy back in, and yeah, 322. This bushing seems to be a teeny bit bigger. That might be enough, right? So again, if you needed to sand it, take it, you do this kind of a little bit of twisting motion. You know, only ideally sand one side and just keep sanding the same side. Don't go into changing sides and things like this. I find it's not very good for the bushing. You're just more likely to lose parallelism. And then washers in, slightly hanging out. Handle on, align, spin around. Now you can do this like without this lovely pivot tool. You can just use anything that's long and thin and do this and wiggle it around until you are able to fit in a sex bolt. Then back in goes the male screw. I guess it's just a screw. You can't really have a female screw, can you? Yes, let us go. There we go. Make sure it feeds, make sure you're not kind of stripping. And yeah, so this handle, you can see this has good tolerance here. So here is the plate on this handle. There's a little bit in there. I could tune it, but I imagine if I crank this screw down, it'll probably work out to be quite a bit better than I would have expected. So I'm going to see if I can find an extra bushing for this. And yeah, if I can't, you won't see an attachment for the video. But if I do, you know, you'll see an extra little bit. But yeah, so here is a little bit of play in the handle. Now this is an acceptable amount of play. Keep in mind this is dry. You know, there's no tap or anything. And that's the big thing, right? If you can remove tap and remove any significant play, a thick oil will make this, you know, ease right up. And so that's really what you're aiming for. Right? Make sure it's free swinging. And you can see even in this kind of test, I'll have to loosen the bite handle a bit more. Just so that it's also, well, you can see it literally doesn't want to free swing, even like loose. So, you know, I can probably take this screw out and it also won't free swing. So that said, just bushing is just too small, right? push this out. Ooh. But like, yeah, so I'll need to sort that out somehow. But essentially, that is how you tune a Balisong. It's a pretty straightforward thing to do. It is quite fiddly. Calipers are I'm not going to say worthwhile purchase, but they do save you a lot of time. And so I do recommend getting a pair of calipers if you're going to be tuning a lot of Balisongs like I do. And so this guy is nicely kind of refreshed, at least on one side. I'm going to look around all my spare hardwares, see if I have a spare bushing that actually fits this guy, because all these Balisongs use like different size bushings, man. It's a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, I'm going to do that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was educational. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. One last final tip is when you are tuning your bushing, if you want a really smooth finish, add like a dabble of water or a dabble of very thin oil whilst you're sanding, and you'll get a slightly nicer polish on your bushing. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff.